Welcome to July 2nd. It's a Wednesday, 2025. Your day weather podcast brought to you by the Advocate Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at wyomingadvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. The 2 days of deepest monsoonal moisture will be today and tomorrow. Then it thins out a little bit, but this is especially true for you folks on the western slope. Today and tomorrow is your chance. The thunderstorms over the last couple of days have been better at making strong winds than any significant rain, but I think that'll change over the next 48 hours. So today and tomorrow are your best chances. The monsoon moisture plume shifts east and north over the weekend, but moisture is going to then go on to the eastern side of the divide. So while the western slope goes back to drier air, the eastern slopes go back to moist air. And that's going to keep thunderstorms kind of every afternoon and evening east of the divide through the holiday weekend. The winds aloft were from the north yesterday along the Bighorns, and there we get the wave function again. Seems like anytime we have that wind aloft from the north or a northerly direction, from north to south, along the Bighorns there, that terrain, the Bighorn Mountains, cause a little bit of that's where we get those Kelvin-Helmholtz wave clouds that we've seen several times here over the past year. Moisture in the air now showing on up further north, as here we're seeing from north central Wyoming. And then beautiful shot here in the upper Platte Valley near Saratoga as thunderstorms and showers were starting to build over the Snowy Range and Elk Mountain there as we got started early in the day, and that's kind of how today is going to go as well. Just a little bit of daytime heating, and you're going to boil up those thunderstorms. We did end up with some severe thunderstorms over the eastern panhandle of Nebraska, then into southwest areas of South Dakota, as that day 2 scenario that we have talked about. The second day after a cold front passage, you're going to usually get some strong to severe weather somewhere on the plains. That's exactly what happened yesterday across western Nebraska and parts of South Dakota. Look at that beautiful shot there of the rolling prairie, the green grass, the flowers, and that big thunderstorm there looking north towards the South Dakota line. Then all the way up into the Cody area, yep, that's monsoonal moisture coming all the way up out of Mexico and getting up into northwestern Wyoming. And that moisture is going to be in the same areas today and tomorrow. Now, Jan Curtis has got a couple of things to show you here. First of all, if you look real closely, this is not a smudge on the photograph. This is a classic gustnado. Now, it's not to be confused with a sharknado, but what a gustnado is, it's not a tornado, but we talk about outflow boundaries where the air comes out of a thunderstorm, the cold air comes out of the base, hits the ground, and you get those outflow boundaries. Well, this is an outflow boundary with an eddy. Basically a turbulent flow that you can see as it hits the ground, and you can get some very strong gusty winds, and these gustnados along the outflow boundary can cause damage, take off tree limbs, that type of thing. They're common in this part of the country this time of year, and there was a good example of a gustnado there along the outflow boundary. And the reason for the outflow boundary, well, it was because of this guy. This is a 22-minute time period condensed here into just a little bit more than a half of a minute. And you can see the formation of that thunderstorm ended up going south of Cheyenne, producing that gustnado and a lot of activity with some heavier rain showers and some strong outflow boundaries. Your severe weather reports yesterday, you can see a lot of wind gusts, and you'll get that in these monsoon situations up here. Then you can see the hail reports, strong wind reports up in South Dakota, Nebraska, and far eastern Wyoming. Now, for you keen observers, you might see a red dot in southwestern Wyoming saying, what is up with that? Well, I went and checked it out. It was actually a land spout just 2 miles west of Farson yesterday in Sweetwater County, Wyoming, on the ground for 3 or 4 minutes. Basically a very weak tornado situation there in Sweetwater County yesterday. So the setup today is somewhat similar to the last couple of days. However, instability from this low sitting off the central California coast and a more south to north wind flow aloft coming up in like this is going to cause an axis of deeper moisture to form right here. you can see the clouds. If you see this little axis of cloudiness right here, so there's instability here. There's basically colder air aloft, and it's moved a little bit closer now to the Continental Divide and Intermountain West. At the same time, we've got monsoonal moisture flow coming up here. Here's hurricane now, Flossie, out off the coast of Mexico. So early this morning, here's the water vapor shot. Now notice, you see these little popcorn-shaped things right here? These are actually nocturnal thunderstorms going on in Arizona into the Great Basin states this morning. So this is the area of instability right here, and going back to here, that's slowly heading eastward. And that, combined with daytime heating and the subtropical moisture, makes today and tomorrow the two most active days in terms of thunderstorm activity on the western slope. East of the divide, it's not going to be as active. So this is as of 4 a.m. this morning. So you can see showers and thunderstorms in this area right here. Would not be surprised, as this area of instability goes further east, that there could be nocturnal thunderstorms tonight and even tomorrow night in this area right here. Would not be surprised at that because of the moisture and instability hanging around even into the nighttime hours. And there's the moisture, the precipitable water as of noon today. So you can see that deeper area of moisture back here, the darker green shading. Then if you notice the brown and the white, we showed you this notch yesterday. This will keep thunderstorm activity a little bit lesser on the plains today because the better environment for thunderstorm development is going to be right here. And this is where we're seeing some afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. But notice along the South Dakota-Nebraska border, up in the northeastern Wyoming, east of the divide, there will be some activity. Here's kind of that notch of dryness. Look at the darker colors in Arizona. Today is Arizona's day, I think, to have the best chance of some heavy rain from some of these showers and thunderstorms. And then across Utah, getting into western Colorado, getting into Montana, the western side of Wyoming as well. This is the Storm Prediction Center for today. So up here, could have a few of those stronger thunderstorms develop. By tomorrow, that moisture plume is a little bit further east. It's even deeper. Look at all that blue right there. So thunderstorms that do form tomorrow will also be heavy rain producers. But as we have seen over the last couple of days, strong wind gusts can happen with these thunderstorms as well, and you have to be ready for that. There's that notch of drier air. It's getting smaller, but it's still there. So the thunderstorms are going to want to hug the terrain, the higher terrain where the better lift is going to be. Storm Prediction Center has general thunderstorms strongest there in the north central plains. Now, by the 4th of July, Friday, the north and eastward shift of the monsoon moisture plume is headed towards the Dakotas, the plains, the northern Rockies. Then here's that drier air that's starting to come back in. So notice that we don't have the green and blues down here anymore. So starting on Independence Day, there's going to be a shift to the other side of the divide where the better thunderstorm action will be. So I'm going to step through the holiday weekend for you. This is Friday. So you can see along and north of that moisture plume is where the thunderstorms are going to be. So 4th of July is going to have some fireworks in the form of afternoon and evening thunderstorms. The darker shaded areas right here probably going to have to deal with some severe weather on the 4th of July. As we get into Saturday, you start to see an alignment north-south of the thunderstorm development because the moisture stays east of the divide. Look at west of the divide, it quiets down considerably. So this is Saturday, this is Sunday. So while Sunday's thunderstorms shift a little bit more south, if you're planning outdoor activities, I know a lot of you will be for the 4th of July weekend, just keep in mind where these thunderstorms are likely going to be the most prevalent. Certainly Friday and Saturday are 2 days east of the divide, Sunday as well, but shifting a little bit more to the south and east. Looking ahead as we get into next week, this is by next Wednesday, so a week from today, we see the high shifting further west into Arizona towards Southern California. This essentially closes the door to the subtropical moisture. Remember, it opens and closes. It's not continuous. It comes in surges. With this type of pattern, if you look at the precipitable water, if we look at the clockwise circulation around the high, look at the wind barbs here, you see that the flow of air is out into the Pacific, not coming into the desert Southwest. Door closes. And if you look at the precipitable water here, That's exactly where the deeper subtropical moisture gets pushed out into the Pacific. Dry air builds up into the deserts again. So you basically have to wait for this guy to make a shift more eastward to get the flow back up and the door opens again. And that probably is going to happen as we get into the second full week of July, which is kind of a normal time frame where the door will tend to open. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. In the meantime, have yourself a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.